Welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to explore the untold stories of women in the Bible. I'm an ordained minister with a degree in biblical studies. I have been studying the Bible for over 20 years. One of the things that has always intrigued me is how often the stories of women are either overlooked or glossed over in our traditional Bible studies. There are so many women in the Bible whose stories are not as well known, yet they have so much to teach us about faith, hope, and trust in God. One such woman is Ruth, the Moabite. Her story is found in the book of Ruth, which is actually the only book of the Old Testament named after a woman. Ruth was a foreigner who lived in Bethlehem during the time of the Judges. She was married to a man named Orpah, and they had 2 sons together. But when Orpah's husband died, she and her 2 sons-in-law decided to leave Bethlehem and go back to Moab, where they came from. However, Ruth refused to abandon her mother-in-law, Naomi, and she chose to stay with her in Bethlehem. Despite being a foreigner, Ruth was warmly welcomed by the people of Bethlehem, and she became a beloved member of their community. She eventually married a man named Boaz, who was a wealthy landowner in Bethlehem. Through this marriage, Ruth became the ancestress of King David and ultimately Jesus Christ himself. The book of Ruth teaches us about loyalty, love, and redemption. It shows us that God's promises are true even when we face difficult circumstances. Another amazing woman in the Bible is Deborah, the prophetess. She is mentioned several times in the book of Judges as the wife of Lapidoth, but she is also remembered as a judge and a prophetess. During the time of the Judges, there was no king over Israel, and the people were constantly oppressed by their enemies. Deborah was a strong and courageous woman who led Israel to victory over their oppressors. She is remembered as one of the 4 major female leaders in the Old Testament, along with Sarah, Hagar, and Esther. Deborah's story reminds us that God can and will use anyone to accomplish His purposes. There are so many other women in the Bible whose stories are just as amazing. For example, we have Rahab, the Canaanite prostitute who became the great-grandmother of Jesus Christ. We have Jezebel, the queen of Israel, who was a true worshiper of Yahweh, even though she was married to a wicked king named Ahab. And then there is Esther, the young Jewish woman who became the queen of the Persian Empire and saved her people from genocide. These are just a few of the many amazing women in the Bible whose stories are worth exploring. Unfortunately, many of these women have been forgotten or ignored throughout history. But it's time that we give them the attention they deserve. I want to encourage you to take the time to read through the Bible and discover the amazing stories of these women. I also want to invite you to join me here on my channel. Every week as we continue to explore the untold stories of women in the Bible, I believe that by studying the lives of these women, we will be inspired by their faith, encouraged by their example, and challenged to live lives that honor God and bring Him glory. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Until then, may you be blessed by the Lord and keep learning more about Him each day. This is my channel. I believe that studying the Bible should be easy and enjoyable for everyone. That SYIV created a free course called How to Study the Bible in 1 Year, which will teach you how to read through the entire Bible in just 1 year. This course is designed for people who want to deepen their walk with Christ, but don't know where to start. You'll learn how to study the Bible more effectively, how to get the most out of your quiet time, and how to develop a daily habit of reading and meditating on Scripture. So if you've been struggling with how to study the Bible, don't worry. Just sign up for this free course and you'll be on your way to a deeper walk with Christ in no time. Don't wait. Start today and see how this simple plan can transform your relationship with God. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the untold stories of women in the Bible. The Bible is full of amazing stories from creation to the New Testament. Most people read the Bible and know the main stories. But did you know that the Bible has over 1,000 characters? And most of these characters have their own unique stories that often get overlooked or forgotten. In this series, we will be looking at the women in the Bible who had a major impact in shaping history but whose stories have been largely ignored. We'll look at their lives, choices, mistakes, and legacies. Before we dive into our first character, let me introduce myself. I am the host. I am a lover of God, a lover of humanity, and a lover of learning. I earned my bachelor's degree in Christian ministry and my master's degree in theological studies. I currently work as a campus minister in Florida. I love working with students because they are constantly asking great questions and challenging you to think deeply about your faith. So why did I decide to do this series? Well, the main reason is because there are so many stories in the Bible that get told and retold. But yet there are just as many stories that are never told. So many people know the story of David and Goliath. But how many of us know that David had an older brother named Eliab, who was supposed to go fight Goliath but was rejected because he was unwearing his armor? 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 18-19. It says, "Then Eliab, his oldest brother, heard his words. And he was angry with David and rebuked him and said, 'Why have you come down? And with whom have you left those few sheep and goats? I know your kind. I know that you are sons of Belial. Our father is a man of war, and we have been trained for war every day. Tell me, can't you even tell what's happening?' So David's brother thought that he was being mocked and was upset with him. Another reason why I'm doing this series is because sometimes the stories that get told and retold are not told accurately or do not do justice to the original text. As believers, it is important for us to go back to the original text and hear the stories the way that they were originally intended to be heard. One of the goals of this series is to bring the stories of these women to the forefront, so that we can see ourselves in them. These women are our heroines, and by hearing their stories, we can learn from their strengths and weaknesses. The other goal is for you to walk away from each episode having learned something new. I hope that you will discover things about these women that you never knew before, and that you will gain a greater appreciation for their lives. So without further ado, let's get started. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at the life of Tamar. You may be thinking, wait, Tamar, who's that? Well, Tamar is a minor character in the book of Genesis, but her story is anything but minor. Tamar was the daughter-in-law of Isaac, son of Abraham. Her husband Judah was one of Isaac's sons. After Tamar's husband died, she was widowed. And in those days, it was customary for a woman to marry her deceased husband's brother, so that the family line could continue. This practice is called levirate marriage. But Tamar's father-in-law, Judah, refused to let her marry his son. So Tamar disguised herself as a prostitute and tricked Judah into sleeping with her. And as a result, she became pregnant and gave birth to twins. What makes Tamar's story interesting is that she took matters into her own hands when she felt like her rights were being taken away. She didn't just sit back and accept her fate. No, she fought for what she believed in, and she was unafraid to get creative in order to do it. Join me next time as we continue this series and look more in depth at the life of Tamar. We will be looking at the different ways that she is portrayed in the Bible, and how her story has been interpreted throughout history. I hope that you enjoyed this introduction to the untold stories of women in the Bible. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Until next time, Shalom.